Hey YouTube, it's your girl Miss Angie, and we are back with another Let's Talk Tuesday. And as you see from the title, we are talking about co-parenting. So let's get into the video. I just actually wrote down a few key points that I wanted to kind of make mention on this topic. I understand that a lot of times in this whole navigation of co-parenting and, once the split and breakup happens, then it goes into, filing for child support, or depending on, if the marriage ends, then of course the courts get involved in how that looks, or both mother and father have to make a agreement on child care for the child. So anyways, yes, co-parenting is not easy. And I just took a lot of these key points from lessons that I've learned and things that I want to get better in my co-parenting situation for my daughter. So let's get into this video. First key point is don't force the relationship between parent and child. You never want to force a relationship between the parent and child. I feel like it needs to happen organically. And I understand that us as parents, we just want that other parent to be there, and we want stuff to look a certain way. And I understand that it's not always going to look how we want it to look. But at the end of the day, you don't want to force the relationship. You don't want to keep pressing down on the person to make this happen, make this, do this and that, because at the end of the day, it's totally on the other parent. So like I said, if you decide that you don't want to go into the court system and do child support, or do, a scheduling system between both parents, I feel like you just cannot force it. You just cannot force it. You have to let it happen organically. Another thing that I noticed that works is to never talk bad or down about the other parent. You don't want to just go bashing like your daddy ain't nothing, he ain't never gonna be nothing. But you don't want to do that, okay? You don't want to talk bad about the mom, talking about she be out every night at the club and she don't want to, even though that may be true, you don't want to start there. You want to make sure that the parent and the child build that relationship, and you want to make sure that the child sees that parent for who they are. You don't want to sit up there and talk bad. Let the child see how that parent is. Let the child see if they're there or not. You cannot taint their minds with that, because they're going to start to hate and resent that other parent. You have to let them build their own understanding on their own about how they feel about that other parent. So my thing is that you just can't bash them. You just can't go in. Even though you may feel that way, and even though you may have, you just don't want to bash that other parent. So I definitely feel like that's a key point. Next key point, having a consistent schedule on the days that they spend the night, on the days that they are over there. You want to make sure they have a consistent schedule. I also say that even if you decide that you want to write down a written agreement, that is also good as well. I know a lot of people ain't really into the whole written agreements and stuff like that, but if you ever need to backtrack, you have that written agreement between both parents signed and documented, just in case you need it. So that's just a little tip right there. But yes, if they're spending the night, you want to make sure that the kids stay on a direct schedule. You don't want to switch it up. And I understand that things happen, but what I'm saying is that at least the child has a consistent schedule, so that they don't feel like they're bopping around here and there. Oh, I'm here Monday, I'm back here Tuesday, I'm doing this. And like I said, granted, life happens, schedules at work happen, I get it. But at least you have a consistent schedule so that the child has a structure and knows exactly what's going on throughout the week. The next thing that kind of is on the same, but you want to make sure that both of you guys share the responsibility. So depending on doctor's appointments, dental appointments, school activities, both of you guys are sharing the responsibility and the financial responsibility for that child. That's very important, so that there's not strain on each parent. At least one parent doesn't feel like they're doing more than the other parent financially, or depending on school activities. Both parent is sharing the responsibility for that child. Just use an example for me and my boyfriend, even though we both live together, but I'm in charge of my son's health care, and he will be in charge of making his dental appointments. So any appointments that my son needs from his primary care doctor, I'm in charge of. And like I said, for my boyfriend, he is in charge of making those appointments that are going to be coming up for my son for his dental appointments. So that's kind of like how we share the responsibility. So just remember that kind of helps out. So it's not strained on each parent. So, and even with times with me having to take off to take my son to the doctor, or even when he has to take our son to the doctor, we both share that responsibility. So that works out a lot. Another key point is remain keeping the boundaries. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know how to have boundaries. I'm still learning to this day how to have boundaries, but you want to make sure that you have boundaries so that you respect each parent. And when I say boundaries, it's just basically saying, hey, just so you know, if you're going to keep her out on this day, using this for example, if you're going to take her on Sunday, then please make sure that she is back by 8 o'clock, because she has to be in the bed at 9 to go to school. That's a boundary. That's a boundary. You have a set time. Hey, if you're going to take her on Sunday, that's cool. And that goes back to setting a schedule. Okay, make sure that she is back by 9, because I want to make sure she eats, has a bath, and now, bam, she's in the bed at 9. And therefore, you have a boundary set. So please make sure that you set boundaries to respect each parent on whatever side. And then the last one that I want to make mention of is, and if one of the parents are dating, it's good to get a chance to know the other side. So basically, if using me for example, I'm dating, so it's good for my daughter's father to know who is around his daughter. Simple as that. I'm not saying y'all gotta go to sit down at the restaurant and eat and chat. If you build that type of relationship, that is fine. But just a quick, so I have a face to match who's around my child. That's basically all it is. At least you know who is around your child. Because at the end of the day, anything can happen. You don't want it to happen. And I understand that, hey, you look at it like, hey, I'm dating. And so what do my baby daddy, baby mama got to know who I'm dating? I get that, y'all. But my thing is that in the world we live in, there's a lot going on. You just don't know. So it's good to know who is around your child. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying pull up and stalk people and figure out, well, let me see who he dating. Let me figure it. I'm not saying all of that, y'all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying get the binoculars out and be trying to scope out. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that at least you know who is around your child, and keep it respectful. And I feel like these few key points are necessary to have a productive, or start a productive structure for co-parenting. I feel like a lot of times we break up, the kids are in the middle of it, it looks sloppy, it's a mess, it's so much, yo mama ain't this and yo daddy ain't, like, it doesn't have to be that. Separate, both parents take time to heal, and make sure that you guys are coming together for that child. That child needs that structure, and that child needs to know that even though we are both apart, we can figure out a good way to have a structure for our children or child. Because a lot of times there could be more than one child involved, and you don't want it to get messy, and you don't want to get it to a place where that child feels like they can only rely on one parent. You don't want to have that. And like I said, this is only if you decide you don't want to go through child support, and you and both parents can be on some form of agreement. Because I understand a lot of parents, I get it. You might have to put them on child support. I understand that. And a lot of moms may feel like, well, shoot, I can do it myself, and hey, I don't need his money. But understand that at the end of the day, and I had to understand this, that it is for the child. It is for the child. So you don't want to take anything away from the child. I know for me, I started with having a book just for any financial stuff that was going towards her. This is what he's sending for her. And so I would mark that down. And I already have like pretty much a log stored on my phone whenever money is sent anyway. So it helps. It helps. Just having that document, knowing what's coming in for your child, that is good. It's good to have. And so at the end of the day, I just feel like you don't want to make it hard on the kid. It's about the kid. Y'all come together, figure it out. It doesn't have to be anything other than what can we do for our child or children. That's it. That's it. You know, you have to keep your feelings out of it. You have to keep the breakup out of it. You have to keep all the other stresses out of it. It has to go. The relationship has ended. It's over. Now, how can we come together for this child? This child needs both parents, and there's 2 separate households. And that's it. That's it. How to navigate it. And so these are just a lot of tips that I feel like is good when you need to co-parent. I also did if you want to go back to it, I did the top podcast that I watched for motivation. It has a good co-parenting podcast on there that I feel like is good. So if you want to go back to that video and look into that, that's also something positive. And also I've even heard that they have an app. They have an app where you can basically set up for each parent to see on the app hours and schedules, appointments, and different children's activities whatever school activities that child has between school, daycare, and everything else. So they also have apps for that to make it easier. So there's no excuse, basically. There's no excuse. You have to understand that it has to be better for the child. You take your personal feelings out of it and focus on that child. Focus on the child or children. I'm sorry. I got to mention that because it could be more, you can have more than one that is dealing with that. So anyways, this is a quick video on co-parenting. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share the video also if you feel like this can help somebody else. I'm all about just positivity, self-love, just trying to navigate this thing called life. We got to do it together, you guys. We got to do it together. This is the journey. This is the journey. So anyways, I just hope that you guys take something from this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks again. Bye.